Hello. Today I am reviewing To Kill a Mockingbird. I should start off by letting you know this is my favorite book. Usually my favorite book. Every now and then something else comes along that maybe kind of outranks it. But then I reassess and I go back to saying To Kill a Mockingbird is my favorite book of all time. First things, it is not a kid's book. It's usually read in 8th grade. So if you made it through 8th grade and you did not read this book, I think this should be next on your list. It is about 8th grade level and higher. And the reason being is because of the subject matter. Now, if you don't know the story, there's quite a few little plots that go through the story, but it's not even really the main plot of the book. It's actually just the main plot of the second half of the book, but many people think of it as this is what the book is about. And that is the story of Atticus Finch, the father of the main character, or the father of the narrator in the book, defending a black man who's been accused of raping a white woman in the 1930s in the South. So that's the most well-known plot of the story. And of course, since rape is the subject matter, that's probably not appropriate for a 3rd or 4th grader. Although I do know of a 5th grader who did try reading it. I'm not sure how far he got it. In fact, I should ask him. I'm pretty certain he didn't finish it. It was a couple of years ago when he told me he was reading it. But yeah, I'll check in with him again. Meanwhile, there's some language issues, just the mild curse words, nothing you can't hear in the parking lot at church sometimes. But that would be the reading level is about a 7th or 8th grade level, no more than that. So it's a pretty easy read. What I love about the book and why I recommend it is it was from a virtue standpoint. It is the ultimate story of great virtue. Atticus Finch is the model, should be a model for every human being, who is the most virtuous character in literature, who at the same time is also believable, as opposed to somebody like, Sir Galahad, who, we'll look at him as like a model of virtue, but he's also kind of ridiculous. There's nothing ridiculous about Atticus Finch. So that's one of the great things is it has this great character who really is practically perfect in every way, like Mary Poppins. Only he's believable, unlike Mary Poppins. So it's got that going for it. The story's told from the perspective of Scout, his daughter, and it starts off when she's about 5 years old. And what's great about it is Harper Lee, the author, she writes about it from the perspective of a 5-year-old. So the 5-year-old will describe things that Scout doesn't understand. But you, the reader, because you're older, you do understand it. And it's a great, clever balance that she does. That also makes the book so charming and so good. It's not just the story, of course, it's the language and the writing and her prose that just sweeps you away and just charms you all the way to the end. Some notable things is that the characters in the book are based on real people. Dill, when you read the book, you'll meet Dill, her best friend, who comes to spend every summer with her, who's just the greatest little boy in the world. I wish every kid could be as awesome as Dill, with the imagination of Dill. And he's actually based on Truman Capote, who is a very famous author. If you don't know, he in the 60s and the 50s, he was a well-known author. Probably the most famous book he wrote was Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is more famous because it was made into a movie. At the time, though, when he was around, he was known for lots of things. He's kind of since receded into the background, and actually Harper Lee, his best childhood friend, when she wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, she just surpassed him with fame, and there is some discussion that he might have been a little bit resentful of that, because he liked to think that he was the reason she was able to become famous, because he was a well-known author before she ever even started writing the book. But be that as it may, that's a fun fact. And the Atticus is based on her father, who was a lawyer, who did sometimes take on unfavorable cases. Now, a lot of the things that happen in the story, as far as we know, and some of the drama that comes out of it, that seems to have been made up. But I highly recommend this book. I love it so much, and it's a book that I don't think I've met a kid yet who hasn't enjoyed this book. In fact, met many people who would call this their favorite book after reading it. So that's all I'm going to say about it, because otherwise, if I keep going, this video would be an hour long, maybe more. So in the end, about 8th grade level for content, and for language difficulty maybe. And there it is. I recommend it. I hope you enjoy.